Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another session of Young and Dynamic. Today, I will be your MC. Today, I am your MC, and I'm glad to see all of you guys here. So, what we are going to do, I know that there are a lot of things that are happening today. We have some that were at the camp in Harare, literally in northern region. Most of them were at the camp in Harare, and they are trying to find their way back to school, back home. And those who are going for prayer to go for prayer, and hopefully they'll connect from there. And then we have those who had gone to the prayer retreat that are currently on their way also back to their place of meeting and of prayer. So I know that we have a few that are in exams, quite a number actually. College of Health Sciences is an exam that is at UZ. They are preparing for exams starting Monday. And we know some who are also concluding their exams this following week. So many people might have, being tied to that, and they are trying to make sure that they finish the year strong. So I do understand that that is why our numbers are not as usual. But I would like to encourage you that there are those who are not at the prayer retreat, who were not at the training this morning, who have also finished their exams, and they are most probably at home. I'll kindly ask you to reach out to those guys and encourage them to connect for a Young and Dynamic right now. So I'll just give you a moment to just reach out to a brother, reach out to a sister, and request a brother, request a sister to connect for Young and Dynamic. So I'm going to look for some fire song that I'm going to play here as we just wait for a few of us to connect so that we can learn more about the session today. Okay, so I'll go ahead and play a song called
AI can build an
Yo
entire
Way
app in
Mari.
minutes, while the only AI most people
Yeah,
overlook
someone who
is
actually came up
ChatGPT.
with a song called Yo Way Mari. So I'm going to be playing that song as we just encourage our brothers and our sisters to connect for the session today.
Makanditora pakazvidzika mukandigadzika pamwe namachinda yowe Mwari mandibvisa muguruva vainditi rombe sorry handichanzi rombe vainditi rova maiwi handichanzi rova yowe Mwari mandibvisa atenderi rutsoka rwangu kuti ruchedzemuke yowe Mwari mandibvisa muguruva atenderi rutsoka rwangu ruchedzemuke kuti ruchedzemuke yowe Mwari mandibvisa muguruva
Great. So hopefully you've had a moment there to text your friends, to text your roommate, to text that young and dynamite that was not connected to connect. And I'm glad that we are now over about 300 because I know that some of you connect in groups. So we can then move on and get into our session. But before we can, move on and get into our session, we have news that we'll need to share with you right at the end. So would really want you guys to remain connected. Today's session is not going to be long. As I've mentioned, a lot of people are in different spaces. Right now, those who are preparing for exams, those who are at the prayer retreat, those who have been with us in the morning at the training session at Crown Plaza in Harare, and everyone is just trying to get back to their spot to connect. So we will not be long. But while we are there, I just want to say hello to someone special that I've invited today. Her name is Tanatswa Chimo, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Tanatswa, are you able to just switch on your video and say hello to everyone? I just want to make sure that it's you and that you're connected. Perfect. There you are. So you can unmute. You can unmute Tanatswa.
Okay.
Hi, Tanatswa.
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you so much for connecting, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. So we are going to get into a session. Yeah, we are going to get into a session right now for about 15 minutes to 19 minutes, and then we get into our conversation. So thank you so much for coming, and may the guests, can you please just co-host here so that she'll be able to unmute herself. So thank you very much, Tanatswa. So ladies and gentlemen, as we started in our previous session, we were talking about reading, instruction, and strategic assessment, where we are looking at how can we best mentor our young brothers and sisters. So this is a trainer of trainers for a big brother, big sister mentorship. So to take us through the session once again, it's our one and only Miss Lorraine Ford. So the first few minutes, we are not going to be able to see her, but as we move into the program, about 6 or 7 minutes, she will be able to be visible through a video. So I'll hand over time to Miss Lorraine Ford.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another final episode of the Creative Classroom and the Growing Tree. So I really would like you to have I'm going to put on our videos, and I'm going to speak to you today about assessments. And I know sometimes assessments, that word sounds like, oh, are you joking? Assessments. Well, it comes a time in life, whether you're a student, a parent, or even simply somebody that remembers school, when you will realize how many young minds were measured by the system that were never really formally saw them. Reading creative schools feels like it's opening a window in a room where we didn't know how growth was stale. Fresh air rushes in and possibility follows. And so the key lessons that we learned were that education thrives when students are seen as individuals and not as categories. We argue that young people's learning best when their interests and strengths are acknowledged. Standardization, which I'm going to speak to you about now, may create effectivism, but personalized creates growth. Creativity is not a luxury, it's a foundational skill. Creativity is often treated as something extra, something optional. But we really need to say it is something essential, even as literacy. It's the teacher problem-solved flexibility and confidence that traits the modern world depends on. Great teaching, and I hope that I am a great teacher, is rooted in human connection. The most transforming classrooms aren't those with the latest technology, but they are the ones with the teachers who listen, who adapt, and who encourage curiosity. Teaching is less about delivery and more about igniting and encouraging. Real reform starts from the top and goes up. Most of the examples that I'm going to speak about today come from small local efforts, teachers experimenting with new methods in principles and embracing creativity programs, communities, and building supportive environments. Change happens closest to the students. Diversity in learning styles isn't a problem to fix. It's a problem to build strength on. Some students thrive through movement, while others thrive through discussion. Others thrive from quiet relaxation. So I encourage you to, rather than see the differences that people normally suppress, I want you to encourage those to explore. Curiosity is not compliance. It is the engine room of meaningful education. When we care about our students, about their learning, about what they are learning, and the atmosphere that we as teachers are going to be creating, inquiry-based learning, hands-on project, and real-world tasks, turn our classrooms into places where students feel so alive. Schools are ecosystems, not factories. Education should be about not pushing students through identical processes. It should be about cultivating environments where each student can grow in their own season, with the right nourishment and guidance. Creative Schools is an ultimate and a hopeful area that I would like to explore. A reminder that education can be transformed through sweeping mandates, but through countless small acts of encouraging teachers, students, and communities. It reminds us that every child carries the potential that standardization alone can't measure. When schools honor creativity, they just teach better. They nurture young beings with the confidence to shape their own future. So now I'm going to share a presentation with you, and it is about assessments and the way I would like to share it. So, the importance of assessment in ECD. We previously spoke about the growing tree and how we're going to implement the growing tree in our schools. So in our institutions where you are going to be empowered to take children, to teach them, you need to assess those children in order for these children to be able to emerge as great young adults. But the importance of assessment is it's not about grading or labeling our little children. It's about understanding and supporting each child's unique journey. So why is it so important to do this? It is important to do this so we can develop a strong identity. It is also that we can be able to see how far our children have progressed on their own. And that's important for me, on their own. We are measuring according to a standardized assessment, but you need to see children in the ECD sector as young and young learners that have their own unique way of learning and therefore assessing. So assessment is formative and continuous. So what do I mean by that? Formative and continuous? That means it is ongoing, and it is not just today we're going to come, we're going to assess the child, and that is exactly the mark they're going to get. We need to be going out into and we assess them in the area where they feel the most comfortable. So, for example, we want to assess, do the children know what a number 5, what 5 is? You can go out and see them in their own environment, and they are sitting under the little house in the sandpit. Oh, I used to love being in the sandpit. And there you can assess all about number 5 just with being in a sandpit, the area where they feel the most comfortable and the most loved, and in that way they feel as if they can really, really grow. So for instance, we're going to sit under the little house, and it's fun to sit under the house. So if you want to do it with them under the house, please do go and do that. So we say to the little children, you can even have a group of children. We don't only have to assess individually. Just have your device with you, or something that you can create a little logbook next to, so you make sure that your assessments aren't biased, because it's very important that we assess the child in the environment that they are most comfortable in, as well as assessing the children when they are able to work at their own pace. But you do need to need to record it in some way before you put it into a more legal and binding document. So you say to them, okay, let us have a look at what number 5 looks like. Can you draw a 5 in the sand? Oh, what fun. Let them take their finger down the neck, make a big tummy, give the 5 a hat. Then if you want to assess if they really understand what the number 5 is, you say, can you draw me, or can you put 5 dots in the sand? Do 5 dots. Put the little dots in the sand, and then you can say to them, oh, that is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Do you think that you could perhaps do the next thing for me? And that is to be able to match them. So send them off into the garden and ask them to bring back 5 objects. So they need to go out there and they've got to actually count those objects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come and put them atop of the dots that they see. So in that way, you're assessing one-to-one correspondence. An easy, simple way of just doing number 5 while they are sitting in the sandpit in their most comfortable state. So if we look at the principles of assessment in ECD, it's important to say that effective assessment is grounded in key principles, and those key principles you need to ask yourself as the educator or the implementer of the assessment that you're busy doing. Please make sure that you are fair, that you are ethical, and that it is beneficial to the child that you are doing the assessment on. So the cycle of assessment is not a linear process. It is a loop. It's called the assessment loop and a planned to review model. I always say to my own children and to the staff at the school, the P's, poor planning produces poor results. So it's poor. If you haven't got if you've got poor planning, you get poor results. So make sure that you know exactly what you're going to assess. Identify the assessment outcomes. So plan absolutely effectively. Identify means that you need to sketch, measure, and select the program that you are going to select and the outcome that you want from that. Then what to do, we gather all the data that we need. We need the presentations, the projections, the portfolios, and then we share them and review them and make changes, and then you really need to teach towards the assessment outcome that you've achieved. So if you've assessed number 5 and you've planned where you're going to be at, you've gathered the information while you've been sitting in the sandpit, you've reviewed if the child met the criteria of the assessment, and now you can't just, now we just leave it. No, we're not just leaving it there. What we want to do is we want to teach towards closing that gap, so we can see that one particular child wrote the number 5 backwards. So your skill for that day, you're going to make sure that child's, you're going to give them a lot of exercises to make sure that they write the 5 the right way in different ways. You can walk it, you can draw it on somebody's back, you can give them points on a 5 to make sure, but close the gap. Don't just leave it there. You need to make sure that once you've assessed that you use that data effectively to make the learning a better place for their child and be able to see what the outcome may be. So how do you prepare for an assessment? Because preparation turns assessments from a chore, from like, now I've got to do assessment, to a seamless part of teaching. So when we as I said before, assessments are not a linear process, but more a circular movement. So one of the ways that you can collect data from young children without them even knowing is a collection of what we term profiles. So once you've completed one area of your workbook, or when you are doing artwork, you take those samples and you put them in a beautiful showcase bag, and you keep those according to the theme. And then you are able to take note as you do an art activity with the children. Make sure that you keep a record of, for instance, if we just took this little person, this could be draw person at the beginning of the year. So when we look at this draw person, we can see in this particular one, there's no neck that was drawn, or that the legs came straight from the torso or from the tummy. There was no, and the arms came out the side. They've got a mouth, they've got eyes, they've got a nose, but oh my dear, they've got hair, but they haven't got any ears. So when you kept that picture you've put in the child's portfolio at the beginning of term 2, you can do the same activity and then compare the first term to the second term and see what progression they make. That is another way of assessing. You don't have to have a formal assessment every time. Work with the child in a good learning environment so that you are able to make sure that these children work is when their work is assessed, that they are able to really make sure that you can see the progression from term 1 to term 2 to term 3 in a simple way of just doing art, which they all love. So it's important to note that we don't just assess for the sake of assessing. We assess that which forms the basis of writing a school report. And I once taught for a headmaster, and I will say his name on this platform because he really left an impressionable mark on my life, Mr. Neville Swain. And he always said, Mrs. Ford, an assessment and a report is a legal binding document to the parents of the children that are entrusted in your care. Make sure that they are the best possible results of what those children have genuinely achieved. And remember, I spoke to you earlier on about it should be fair, it shouldn't be biased. And it should be ethical. It should definitely be ethical. You should go back at night and realize that you've done the assessments and the report writing to the best of your ability. So reports, as we've all got them, and we've all got a bad report. Even me, I've had a bad report in my life. In grade 1, it said, disturbs others with her talking. How would you ever realize that was going to happen? And who knows, you would have guessed that today I talk a lot and to people that I have on my groups. So it's really good. So reports aren't separate from assessment. They form one unit. You collect the data from the assessments, you put it all together within the report to send that report out to the parents. So if I could give you any tips on assessment, they would be the following. Be patient, be prepared, praise progress, and end every assessment with gratitude. So that is just a short presentation on assessments. We will in future, in next year, have a cumulative assessment that our what we term our M&E team will come and present to you, that will make sure that you have an unbelievable understanding of how you put assessments that have been devised by the World Health Organization and Save the Children's Fund, to make sure that the data we're collecting have a good understanding of that data we've collected, and to make sure that our assessments form part of that data, because we would love to be able to close the literacy gap within our communities. So you will now receive a certificate of participation from our Y&D team, and I'm hoping that next year we're going to have a lot more great sessions together. Even if they don't need to be a lot, but we are going to have great sessions together, that we can work together as a team to improve the literacy rate of the children in Africa. Thank you.
Exceptional literacy rate is an issue on our continent, and we are looking forward that we will be able to participate in our various ways, in our different spaces, to be able to contribute to that. So we will be hearing from Lauren Ford as from next year, and she will let us know what will be the next steps forward, so that we can also help in the work that she is doing. But as we move forward, we have a very sad story that happened to us a few days ago, about a week ago. One of ours, who was very consistent on this platform, was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and then she was left struggling and fighting for her life. And unfortunately, a few days ago, we then got to lose her. Her name is Tariro Musuka, and it's quite unfortunate that she is going to be with the Lord. She was very consistent on Young and Dynamic. She was also very consistent as a young global intercessor. That made it even more painful. She was a 3-2 law student at the Midlands State University, and unfortunately, this unfortunate incident happened to us. So it was really painful for me. When I first heard it, I just shut down. I didn't want anyone to talk to me about it. I didn't anyone to even mention her name in my presence. It just got to me until the day she was then put to rest in Chitungwiza. So it's been quite a very emotional week, especially for me. And I know a couple of people also who knew her. It's been a very emotional week. So to just remember her with joy and happiness, and thanking God for the time that he gave Tariro to us. We do have someone who grew up with Tariro in the same neighborhood, and she knows Tariro most probably more than me and most of us here. So help me welcome back to the podium Tanatswa Chimoa as we just hear from her who Tariro was, what are some of the things that she left imprinted on our hearts. So Tanatswa, if you can please switch on your video, and then we can perfect.
Um,
Hello Tanatswa, how are you?
Hello, say how are you?
I'm well.
Hello
Yeah, tell us about
everyone.
Tariro. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for inviting me to this platform and I'm here to talk about Tariro Msuka. I'm very saddened to be talking about her today in such a way. So I grew up with Tariro. We're born in Chitungwiza. So she was a vibrant student and a vibrant friend. Her departure has left us with a void in our hearts because she was an upcoming lawyer, and she was also my church mate at our church, and she's
Yeah.
one of those girls who could stood up for us. She used her voice to stand up for us. I still remember from our previous girls fellowship, she was someone who could stood up for everyone. So I'm very saddened about her departure. We will miss her dearly, and may her soul find internal rest in the arms of the Almighty. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you so much. Before I let you go, Tanatswa, what are some of the specific things that you're going to remember Tariro with? I know that at some point you taught her accounts.
Okay,
Looked quite interesting. But
so
what are some
she
of
was
the things she was really good at, that you are
okay.
going to remember her with?
Firstly, she was very humble and
Mm,
very hardworking.
absolutely.
So she believed in me, and she could come to her house, and I taught her, and so that she could work very hard. And
Mm,
also, she chose to be a lawyer, and she said, "I'm pursuing law now." So I was very confident she was going to become a successful lawyer. So she was
mm,
very hardworking. That one I guarantee, and a very
absolutely.
like I told you, she used her voice to stand up for others.
For others. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Tanatswa. And it's good actually coming from you, having grown up in the same community. And by the way, Tanatswa is not even Tariro's best friend. So when you can hear someone who's not your best friend saying, I'm going to remember her because she was a hard worker, she used her voice to stand up for people, and she was humble. She indeed left a print on people's hearts that we can't dispute. So, may God bless her soul. May her soul rest in peace. And thank you very much, Tanatswa, for coming through. To
Thank you
everyone
so
who's on
much.
the platform, amazing. To everyone who's on the platform, I just want to leave you with this word, and I just want to encourage you that when you are gone, we will remember something about you. When you are gone, we will remember something about you. The question is, what are we going to remember about you? What is it that you can say, when I am gone, may people remember me because of 1, 2, 3? And now is the time for you to create that legacy that you want. That thing that you want people to remember you with, through the way you talk to people, through the way you interact with people, through the way you handle yourself, through the way you guide yourself, through the way you speak to other people. So as we leave this platform and as we go into the Christmas holidays, I'd like to encourage you guys that If you are not sure of a vehicle that you are getting into, please don't get into it. If you are not sure of the driver, whether they are drunk or not, don't get into that vehicle. And I would suggest that if you can use, buses instead of combis during just this Christmas period, please do, so that we try to preserve as much life as we can during this time. So as we go through this season and this time, we are going to say to the Lord, even though we are going through what we are going through, we will still worship, we will still honor you as we celebrate Tariro's life. We will still worship, we will still honor you because you gave it to us and now you have taken her. We will still worship you. So we are saying, so we will, so I will, so I will, so we will do it again. So we will worship you through this pain we are going through this loss we are going through. We will praise you. We will give you honor. Goodbye, everyone. Next week, we meet for Young and Dynamic. So next week, we are not skipping. Please come. It's going to be an interesting session. Red Couch session actually is coming your way next week. So you want to be part of it, and we will tell you how you're going to be connecting to it. We're going to connect to it in a different way. So be ready. So as all these things are happening, we are still saying, we still come back to you, God, and worship you and say thank you for the life of Tariro. Goodbye, everyone.
I can see your heart in every